So we're going to look at two aspects of the Bluebeam review software in the product called Studio. The Studio product is broken down into two portions, and I will probably mix up the terminology 5 times or more today because one of them is called projects, and I will probably use the word project referring to your project in-house versus the Studio project. So just bear with me on that. But the two groupings are going to be called sessions and projects. Now, sessions are designed as PDF-only online collaboration. What that means is that, and we will demo creating a session, and then Dan and I are going to mark up at the same time. So what a session allows you to do is upload PDFs to the cloud, and the cloud in this case is usually managed by Amazon Web Servers that Bluebeam uses. Amazon Web Servers are used by tons of companies, including Autodesk, very secure. They are almost never down. In all of my years working with the software, I think there was one day when some engineer at Amazon screwed up the code and everyone was offline for a few hours, but they got that back up and running fairly quickly. So the idea behind a session is you can have up to 500 people and up to 5,000 documents, each gigabyte in size. If you have a PDF that's a gigabyte in size, you're doing something wrong, but you know, you can still have an enormous number of them. With these online, with these PDFs online, you can do one of two things. You can have a meeting. Everyone can log into that meeting. Everyone can mark up the same PDF at the same time. That is all recorded, both in the session and in the markup list. That can then be downloaded and archived, and the session closed, and you're done. The other thing you can do with it is you can post these documents online, these PDFs, and just leave it open. So the idea is, like now, we're working from home. So instead of having a session that's a limited time, we just leave it open, and people can go in and do markups in the same file at the same time or at different times, and they can hop in and out without any issues whatsoever. So that's sessions. Projects, on the other hand, are designed to handle every kind of document in your office. So the idea is you would basically upload folders, your folders that you create in the office, or you can create them for a new project. And you can upload PDFs, you can upload Word documents, you can upload PowerPoints, you can upload AutoCAD drawings, you can upload Excel files. And if you have that software on your system, you can access that drawing from your local machine. So you have AutoCAD, you can go ahead and open an AutoCAD drawing. You have Word, you can open up a Word document. However, it's designed for one person at a time. So one person can open and edit a file, just like in your office, save and close it and return it. So it's not designed for simultaneous collaboration. The idea is that with something like sessions or project, but more related to sessions, that you can have everyone in the same document at the same time, all of the stakeholders, the architect, owner, contractor, everyone can be reviewing at the same time if you want. You don't have to, but that's one of the main advantages of it. Because it is cloud-based collaboration, say that 4 times fast, you start by, you can collaborate online and off. Again, the file sort is secure. You can set up permissions if you want. I maybe have lost my phone. Hang on one second.
Reed?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay.
Okay, I think my phone disconnected. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes. Everyone can hear me? Where did you stop hearing me? That's the question. Okay, so everyone can still hear me at this point. I'm not sure what you missed, but the idea was, let me go back one quick slide. Again, common data entry environment where everyone can work online at the same time. Again, I apologize, we're relying on modern technology, which is totally wireless at this point, and once in a while, my T-Mobile line goes down, so I'm kind of trying to monitor that and do the demo at the same time. The stakeholders can all access files at the same time. Again, you collaborate online, or you can download files and do them offline. You have secure file storage. I can set up access permissions. I'll show you how that works, notifications and alerts, and activity tracking. So with that, let me get into the demonstration of the product. Okay, so here's Bluebeam. I have it open. I have 4 documents open at this point. And these 4 documents are going to be the ones that I use to create my new session. These are the ones that I want to go over with people. So I'm going to go ahead and log in to Bluebeam Studio, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new session. I'll sign in. I'm going to go ahead and create that session. I will put my password in. Remember to create a password that you can remember. And up here in the upper left corner, here is Studio, and I am going to be creating a session, but we also have projects. So let me start up a new session by clicking plus, and new session. You have to follow through. So I'm going to call this real-time collaboration. Now, several things I can do in here. One is I can send a file off. I can open up files. So I could click the Add tool and go out and find any file on my system I want, but I'm going to choose just to add the open files that I have. I can also set my permissions down here, turn them on and off. I can also restrict attendee by email address. Now, I'm not going to do that so that Dan doesn't have to open his email to access it, but I would suggest that if you want a secure session, to definitely do that, because if you don't, anyone who gets your session number can go ahead and access the files. And there's over 1 million users of Bluebeam out there, a Bluebeam review, so you may want to restrict it. Also, you can set up a session endpoint. So you say, okay, everyone has a week to comment, and that's it. After a week, we are going to, the session is going to end. So you have that ability. Now, once I pick OK, it is going to open up a dialog box asking me to invite people. There it goes. So I have the ability here to invite people to join my session. I can set an email. I can click plus and add email addresses. I can also have created what are called groups. And I have a group here called demo group. So I say OK, and I have Dan's email address in there. I'm going to go ahead and send him an email anyway, but he'll also be able to access the session directly by simply logging in to that particular session number. And I can put a message in there that I want, and I could go ahead and say OK at this point. It's now about to send out an email. I say, fine, that's great. So Dan will get an email, but I can also simply tell people to join this session number. So Dan, you are there, I hope. I hope I'm still online with my voice. I'm just checking my phone. I still am. Good. So Dan can go ahead and access the session 259-742-086. And I hesitate to say this, but anyone out there online that has Bluebeam can do that too at the same time. But please don't, or if you're going to do that, no profanities in this, which is being recorded. Okay, so Dan could go ahead. Once he logs in, he will appear in this list. While that's happening, I have the ability to make some adjustments to this particular session if I wanted to. There's Dan, he just joined. And you'll see down here in the list at the bottom, the record of the session, it'll show that he's joined. You would also have the ability at this point to do some other things. So if I drop down in my session and come over to settings, I have the ability at this point to say, well, for attendees, now that Dan is in, I'm going to restrict attendees. I don't think that'll kick you out, Dan. I'm gonna hope it doesn't. And then permissions. I can also set my permissions. This is also where I can create my groups, right? So I can go ahead and create my groups in here that I can use on my other projects. And again, I could enable an expiration date at this point. So I'm going to say OK at this point. And now I've shut out everyone else potentially other than Dan. Now, Dan has been doing some things in here. So he added a poly length measurement. I can click on that, and it will take me to exactly where that is, right? But I could also do something in this particular session if I wanted to. If I came back to the first floor, and I might come over to here and put in a, right? So I could put in a something like a cloud and a note, and I could say that I want this to be VIF. And what I can do with this on the screen, I can set up a chat, and I could say, Dan, check this area. So I'm down here at the bottom of my screen in the chat box and saying to check this area. I'll go ahead and enter that. And what will happen is that when Dan clicks on that particular chat, it will take him exactly, right? He'll go ahead and go exactly to that particular area that I put in. Okay. Now, one of the things that I can do, because Dan's putting markups in, but I'm really not following what he's doing, what I can do is I can right-click on, there's Dan, right-click on Dan, and I can say follow Dan. So now, as Dan does something in the file, you'll see those 4 arrows moving around, and now I can basically say, okay, well, I'm going to keep track of what Dan is doing. And, you know, because Dan might say, hey, look, I've got something I need to show you, or I need to measure something. And so I have the ability to follow him. I also have the ability to, I think that's unfollow him at this point. So I'm not following him. I double click back on myself. I can also ask people as the organizer for the users to follow me. So I can also send out a request to do that as well. So pretty powerful tools. Keep in mind also at the bottom of the screen, everything that goes into the file Dan's putting in at this point is going into the markup list. If I were to put something in the markup list, right, there's my cloud. And again, it's locating it under me as the author here. So pretty powerful stuff. If I need to go out in the field to check something out that maybe, you know, I don't have internet access to, up here at the top, I can unplug. So I can click on that and say, you know what, I'm going to work offline. I'm not actually going to do that because I don't think that'll disconnect me. I think, but we'll find out. So I'm going to say to work offline. So now I'm offline here, and I'll go ahead and put a cloud in, you know, or not. See if I can put a cloud in. right? So I can put a variety of markups in, and those will move into what is called the pending section. So if I come over to pending, right, it's waiting until I get back into the office or back to an internet connection. And as soon as I connect, I'll click back on that same tool to reconnect. The pending item moves out of pending and back into record. Okay, so a really easy way to do online collaboration. And again, all of these markups are being stored. Now, the session, I can leave the session open. I can personally just walk out of the session, so Dan will still be in the session. So I can come up here and simply say, I'm going to leave the session for the moment. So now I'm out of that particular session. I can always do whatever I need to do back here at the office, and then I can come back over to real-time collaboration, and I've just rejoined the session. So that's the idea of being able to just leave that file online, and when you are sort of done using the particular file or files, you can archive it. Now, I'm not going to archive it at the moment, but what I'll do is, for the moment, let's say, oh, I'd like to save the session that we had. Down here at the bottom, I have an option to save that session. So I can click on Report, and I can come over here and say what I want to do is create a record summary or a PDF package, or combine my files into a report. I'll combine them all into a report. I can come down to the bottom and set up whatever I need, pick OK. I can choose a place to store this, so I'll put it into the sales demo folder that I have for Bluebeam 2019, and it'll be called Real-Time Collaboration, pick OK. And now I'm in that file, and that's a PDF file. If I look at the thumbnails for that on the left-hand side, I can see all of the markups. I also downloaded all of the files. So I now have a PDF file that has a complete record of that session. So I have a very secure legal document here that shows who marked up what, when, right? And these things are hyperlinks. So if I click on one of these items, let's see if I can get down to one that Dan added a measurement, right? It takes me right to that. So pretty powerful document. So if you find yourself having to work from home and you have a copy of Bluebeam Review, you will have a copy of Bluebeam Studio. Keep in mind that if you are working from home, let me go back into, let me close this down. And I'm still in session. So if you are working from home and you have, let's say, a tool set from your office that you would like to be able to take to your machine at home, you can do that. Now, the tool set allows us to create these customized tools so that if I were starting to do some markups, let's say I was doing ceramic tile, I could pick a spot here, hold on my left button, pick a spot there, and I would have my ceramic tile. Or maybe I have something like carpeting, so I can click on carpeting and pick that, drag from here, and notice that I have the ability to set in this particular release each one of these individual markup tools differently. So while this one is recording square feet, I can have this tool recording square yards. And you have the ability with your tool chests to manage those, and you can select a tool chest and you can export it to a particular file, save it first, and then that BTX file can be imported. So you could email that to yourself and import it. So all the tools that you're used to using will be still available to you. Okay. So that is the idea of Studio and Studio Sessions. So Studio Sessions right? There's notifications. You can send out notifications to someone if you want. I don't have any notifications. There's pending. Right? And again, you can do some customization to that particular file by coming back into settings and making adjustments to attendees and permissions. Okay. When you're totally done with a session, you would use this tool here, which will basically end the session and archive it. So if I clicked on that, it would allow me to basically do what I did with this tool down here, except what it will do is it will now eliminate that studio session from the online list. Okay, I'm not going to do that right now. Okay. So thank you, Dan. I'm going to go ahead and hop out of this session. I'm going to just leave it running. And what I'm going to do now is switch over and talk about projects. So the idea behind projects is that you can work on, again, individual documents one at a time. Multiple people can be working in a project, just not on the same document at the same time. Now, what I want to do, see, I wanted to do it earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and upload. Let me see if I can get to my desktop here. What I wanted to do was minimize all of this, or not. Guess it's not going to let me do that while I'm running that. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my AutoCAD 2020. I'm going to close that and go back over to this guy here. And we'll go back into here. Okay, so I am going to close these files. And I'm going to switch over to a project. I'm going to open up what I call the Oval Office Building project. The idea behind projects is that I can create a project clicking on the plus to create a new project and new project, and I could give it a name. So I'll just say new project. Once I have that new project, I have options here to create a new folder, upload folders, upload files, or upload a folder. So I could click upload a folder, and I could come over and choose a folder that I wanted to upload. So let's say I wanted to upload my whole sales demo Bluebeam 2019 folder. I could click select folder, and it would go ahead and upload that. If I start to expand this, you'll see that it's uploaded all of these files, right? So there's this particular, let me open this up here, right? So all of these files have just been, they're in the process of uploading at this point, so you can see those lines. What's new is in this release and the previous one, you can continue to work on other projects while this one is uploading. So I'm going to go back over to the Oval Office, and that one will continue to upload in background. Okay. Here again are different folders. So I have the ability to come in to these different folders and add files to those if I need to. Or again, I can do that over here at the top. I have the add tool. I also have actions, right? So one of the things that you also get with these are your ability to control your notifications. So when I click on that, I will have these access, again, similar to the sessions for permissions and folder permissions. You also have the ability to set your notifications. And I was just looking for that. Should be under actions, maybe not. Okay, I will find it in a minute. I had it before, but notifications, you can choose how you want to be notified with your various studio sessions or projects. And I'm just not seeing it here. Manage servers, Bluebeam Studio. Okay, I'm not seeing it at the moment, but there is an option. Maybe Dan will jump in and tell me where that is again. But typically, I find that under some of my various settings. Okay. Anyway, trust me, it's in there somewhere. So the other thing you can do is, again, checking things out. So to check out a file, you can check it out as read-only if you want, or you can check it out with editing permissions. So if I just double-click a file to check it out, it will ask me here if I want to open that in a split view. Do I want to still see my project? At the moment, I'm going to say no, just open this up. You'll notice at this point that there is a lock on there, which means that I'm in read-only mode. I forgot when I was in here to right-click on there and say to check out that file. So that's okay. I can come back to this and click on that lock, and if no one else has checked it out, I can check it out at that point. So now it's open for me to edit, and I can go ahead and put in whatever markups I want, or I could copy a markup from one place to another. When I'm all done, I simply close that. It'll say, hey, do you want to save this? I'll say, sure, go ahead and save it. What did you do? I'll say, well, I added a cloud. Was that a minor version or a major version? Do I need to update my server copy back in my office? I'll say, nope, at this point, I'm just going to check that back in. It'll go through that process. And it's now checked in. What's nice about this is I have right click. I can go ahead and check revision history, right? And there is my latest that I just did with adding a revision cloud. So I can open any one of these previous copies. I could say open that particular revision, and I can see exactly what that looked like before any changes were made, and I can always restore that earlier version of the file. If you have other, yes.
I just had a, I thought this was a good time to mention the notifications.
Oh, please, because I'm struggling.
Right. No worries. So basically, if you had someone that was working on a file and you got notified as soon as that they were completed or checked something back in, you could see how that would be like a lot of time savings rather than having to coordinate after that. It's almost automatic.
Yes.
Yeah. So the notifications are within each project, and then right below the name of the project in those 3 lines, right to the right a little bit of your cursor. Yes.
Here.
Above. To the right.
These guys, yes. Project settings. So yeah, I was looking in there. I was trying to see where the notifications were.
On the bottom of this.
Oh, here we go. So it was staring me right in the face. So yeah, there. I knew it was there. You know, one of the things of getting older is you get to forget all the things you used to know. So manage notifications.
Hey.
That'll bring up this box here for studio notifications. And for this particular project, I have those enabled. And then I can say, okay, send me a daily or not. Check that or don't check that. Send me an email or not. Check that or uncheck that, right? So it was just staring me in the face. But you can go ahead and set this up so that every time something occurs in a project, you can be notified of it or not. If, you know, too many notifications, that's fine. You can go back and adjust that. Thank you, Dan. I'm trying now to see if I can get this AutoCAD drawing. I have AutoCAD sitting here. I think I set up my file launcher. If not, 2017 is going to launch, but I think I set it up so that I will right click on this and say, I want to check this out. So now it's available to check out. And then I'm just going to left click on that. And in theory, no, let's see what we got. Let me go back over here. Double click, open. Oh, here we go. So I double click on it, and here I am. So I basically set up my Windows 10 to use the AutoCAD file launcher. So now I'm in this file, right? And I've got some things in here, right? So I'm working now with this file online. So maybe what I want to do is take this, right click. I'm going to make a copy of that. I'll pick a spot here, and I'll say, let's put one over here and one over here, right? Press escape, go ahead and close the file. Say I'm going to save that, yes. File is saved. I come back into Review, and I right click. I didn't make any comments on there, right? So, but I can right click, and I can say, show me the revision history, right? So there are all, I didn't check it back in yet, so I didn't get that particular revision history. And so it says it says pending. I'm not sure what the pending is on there, but I could come back here and say what I'd like to do is double click that, and yes, no. I don't know. Okay, well, it's not it's not opening it for me. Let's see what we got. Or maybe it did. Let's just see what's going back in AutoCAD. Nope. In theory, if I were to double click this guy to open.
Yeah, try the open revision on the bottom left.
Oh, try opening revision. Thanks. So it's at read only at this point. But I can see this earlier revision that those are missing, right? So I can always go back and see a file that has been edited. So I get that complete list there. So yeah, again, pay attention, read. There's your open revision tool down here at the bottom. Okay. If you have Word on your machine, you can always come down to where you have Word documents. And if I double click that, it will launch Microsoft Word, and it will open that up for me to review. Again, it might be in a non-edit mode, so before you go to launch anything, the best thing to do is select a file, right-click, and make sure to check it out. Okay. These projects can also be set up so that you can ultimately archive them if you want when a project closes. I'm going to keep this project open, but again, you have the ability to completely close a project out when you are done and take everything off line after that.